As the future king of Saudi Arabia and current de facto ruler of an oil-rich country, Mohammed bin Salman is a man of great power and influence. His methods for getting what he wants are often a little extreme and making it difficult for other world leaders to appear as his ally. But let's just say he's not going to find friends difficult to come by in the next few years, no matter what despicable things he may or may not have done in the past. So, who exactly is Mohammed bin Salman, and why should we need to sit up and take notice? Well, in this video, we'll tell you everything you need to know by taking a deep dive into Salman's past, his rise to power, as well as his outlook for the future. Welcome to Neapolitan. As with all our episodes in this series, we'll break it down into three unique sections, like Neapolitan Ice Cream, the vanilla, the who, what, where, and one of the folks that changed the world, chocolate, that flavor punch. Controversy and adversity make lives so interesting, and the strawberry, the lasting legacy and lick that all Neapolitan lives come with. If you're interested in other videos like this, or different in-depth looks at essential people throughout history, then make sure you're subscribed to the channel with post notifications on, so you never miss a single one. Without further ado, let's get into it. Vanilla. On the 31st of August 1985, Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud was born to Prince Salman bin Abdulaziz and his third wife, Farah bint Falah Al Hithlain. The eldest of his mother's 6 children, yet 8th eldest child of his father, since Muslim men are allowed to marry up to 4 wives, Mohammed bin Salman was born into the large Saudi Arabian royal family. As you can imagine, he therefore has some powerful relatives. His siblings include wealthy businessmen and politicians, although Mohammed bin Salman himself is probably the most famous, or infamous, of the princes, as you will soon see. Rather than studying abroad like many of his brothers, Mohammed chose to study law within Saudi Arabia at King Al Saud University, where he graduated second in his class and earned a bachelor's degree. Following his studies, bin Salman spent several years working in the public sector as a consultant for the Experts Commission, which is part of the Saudi cabinet. It was in December 2009, when he was 24 years old, that the young royal entered into politics. His first role was special advisor to his father, while the latter was serving as the governor of the Riyadh province. Mohammed bin Salman soon rose through the ranks in the political field, holding many accomplished positions such as Secretary General for the Riyadh Competitive Council, while also working on the boards of both the King Abdulaziz Foundation for Research and Archives, plus the Albir Society in Riyadh. Following the deaths of 2 crown princes in 2011 and 2012 respectively, bin Salman's position in the hierarchy was quickly elevated. His father became the new crown prince and first deputy prime minister. Then on the 23rd of January 2015, King Abdullah died too, and Salman Sr. ascended the throne. Mohammed bin Salman became the new crown prince after his father's decision to depose bin Naif, and the king's son took on multiple roles within the government of Saudi Arabia. These included First Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Defense, and President of the Council of Economics and Development Affairs. MBS, to use the Crown Prince's initials, became the youngest defense minister in the world at the age of 30. And if he were to become king anytime soon, he would likely become the youngest king in the history of Saudi Arabia. Interestingly, on the day he was appointed crown prince by his father, bin Salman received a congratulatory call from then U.S. President Donald Trump. The two leaders pledged close cooperation on security and economic issues, with both discussing the need to tackle terrorism and try to secure peace between Israel and Palestine. In 2017, bin Salman told the Washington Post that Saudi Arabia would have ended up like North Korea had they not benefited from America's cultural influence. Chocolate. Bin Salman is noted for having a conservative attitude when it comes to politics, with a leadership style that has been called authoritarian and extremely brutal by some political observers. As Minister of Defense, one of bin Salman's first major issues to deal with was the rising tension and unrest in neighboring Yemen. In response to the Houthi uprising happening there, bin Salman formed an alliance with the UAE, supported by the United States, and began a series of devastating airstrikes in the country, as well as imposing a naval blockade. Bin Salman was criticized for leaving high-ranking Saudi officials out of the loop when planning his operations in Yemen, and has been accused of instigating the long-lasting war of attrition. Human rights groups claimed that the air bombings were indiscriminate, causing many civilian casualties, flattening hospitals, schools, and other vital infrastructure. Tens of thousands of people lost their lives, millions lost their homes, and the famine resulting from the war caused the UN to describe the situation there as the world's worst humanitarian crisis. Of course, bin Salman tried to downplay the gravity of the situation, denying that he was the architect of the war, as called by The Economist. He simply said that, in any military operation, mistakes happen. Of course, any mistakes made by Saudi Arabia or the coalition are unintended mistakes. He went on to defend his actions further by saying, "We don't need to have a new Hezbollah in the Arabian Peninsula. This is a red line not only for Saudi Arabia, but for the whole world." Bin Salman's bullying tactics were on display again in 2017, when Lebanon's former Prime Minister, Saad Hariri, was detained by security forces upon entering Saudi Arabia. He had his phone confiscated and was forced to resign from his post live on Saudi television. The event was perceived as an abduction of the sovereign state's prime minister, and it sparked outrage in Lebanon. Eventually, French President Emmanuel Macron stepped in to act as mediator, and after several weeks, Hariri was able to return to Beirut and withdraw his forced resignation. The bizarre episode concerning Lebanon's former PM was far from the only time something similar had happened under bin Salman's watch, though. That same year, in fact, MBS began hunting down his political rivals under the guise of fighting corruption. Hundreds of Saudi Arabia's elite society members were arrested by security forces and detained at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Riyadh. The New York Times reported that 17 detainees had to receive hospital treatment following physical abuse, and that one person died in custody. In light of the abuse and what has now become known as the 2017 Ritz-Carlton Purge, one Middle East director at Human Rights Watch said, "The alleged mistreatment at the Ritz-Carlton is a serious blow to Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's claims to be a modernizing reformist." Relations between Saudi Arabia and Qatar also took a hit in 2017, when the Saudis, along with the UAE, Egypt, and Bahrain, cut diplomatic ties with the country and implemented a trade blockade on it. The Saudi-led coalition cited Qatar's alleged support for terrorism as the main reason for their actions. Allegedly, Saudi and the UAE forces had originally planned a military invasion of Qatar with the aim of capturing the capital city of Doha. One source says that the coup was only weeks away from taking place, but the United States intervened and caused them to back down. In the end, the diplomatic crisis did nothing more than to increase tensions in the already volatile region. It's not only the Middle Eastern countries that Mohammed bin Salman and his men have anchored, however. Germany took offense to Saudi Arabia's actions, including the detainment of the Lebanese prime minister and what it called adventurism in the Middle East. A 10-month diplomatic conflict between Germany and Saudi Arabia ensued, with the Saudis withdrawing its ambassador from Berlin and Germany drafting a blockade on trade and weaponry. The row came to an end when Germany's foreign minister conceded that, in recent months, our relations have witnessed a misunderstanding which stands in sharp contrast to our otherwise strong and strategic ties with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and we sincerely regret this. In 2018, after several domestic women's rights activists were arrested in Saudi Arabia, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was in the firing line after calling for the protesters' immediate release and for human rights in Saudi Arabia to improve in general. Saudi Arabia's foreign prime minister dismissed the Canadian, saying, "We don't want to be a political football in Canada's domestic politics. Find another ball to play with." Arguably the biggest event to happen under Mohammed bin Salman's watch, for which he has been heavily criticized, is the 2018 killing of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Once an advisor to members of the royal family, Khashoggi found himself in hot water for openly criticizing bin Salman. In an interview with Al Jazeera, he had said how there are Saudi intellectuals and journalists jailed, and that now nobody will dare to speak and criticize the reform. It turns out he was right to be fearful, as when the journalist entered the Saudi Arabian consulate in Istanbul on October 2nd, he was savagely beaten, suffocated, and dismembered by a 15-member squad of Saudi assassins. His body was never found. The Saudi government initially denied what had taken place, but in light of evidence were forced to admit to the assassination. A report from the United Nations found that there was credible evidence that warranted further investigation into the Crown Prince and his liability for the killing. In an interview with CBS, Mohammed bin Salman denied ordering the hit, but said he took full responsibility since it was committed by individuals working for the Saudi government. Strangely, in relation to the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, bin Salman was accused of hacking into the phone of billionaire Jeff Bezos in an effort to influence, if not silence, the Washington Post reporting on Saudi Arabia. Khashoggi had worked for the Washington Post. A forensic investigation of Bezos' phone concluded with medium to high confidence that it had been hacked by a multimedia message sent from bin Salman's WhatsApp account in May 2018. Strawberry. Despite his conservative stance and allegations of misdeeds, MBS is actually quite liberal in some respects, especially when it comes to social issues and the economy. The leader has tried hard in recent years to change Saudi Arabia's image, both internationally and domestically. His reforms include limiting the restrictive powers of the religious police and improving rights for women. In June 2018, for example, Saudi women were permitted to drive. Female singers have since held their first public concerts in the country, sports stadiums are allowing women to enter, and there's an increased female presence in the Saudi workplace. This is all part of bin Salman's Vision 2030, an ambitious yet achievable plan to improve the outlook of this nation's future. The blueprint is built upon three main pillars. First, he says, is our status as the heart of the Arab and Islamic worlds. The second is a determination to become a global investment powerhouse. And the third pillar is transforming our unique strategic location into a global hub connecting three continents: Asia, Europe, and Africa. MBS admits that his country is rich in natural resources, but has said that the future of the country, quote, lies in the ambition of our people and the potential of our younger generation. He defines his vision as a tolerant country with Islam as its constitution and moderation as its method. We will welcome qualified individuals from all over the world and will respect those who have come to join our journey and our success. In order to encourage more international tourists to visit, an electronic visa system was set up for people to obtain their visas more quickly. It's world leaders, as opposed to tourists, that the country has been attracting as of late, though. With the war in Ukraine causing energy prices to skyrocket, the oil-rich nation of Saudi Arabia has become attractive once more. The Crown Prince has met with many heads of state as a result, including those who condemned him over his past actions. U.S. President Joe Biden, for instance, recently visited bin Salman just 2 years after describing the royal as a pariah for his role in the Khashoggi assassination. Although the White House denied that the main purpose was to address oil production, Biden revealed that he and the Saudi official had a good discussion about oil supplies and implied that Saudi Arabia would be increasing its oil production. Also somewhat disguised was the fact that Biden didn't shake hands with bin Salman. He did offer a fist bump, saying that COVID was the reason for no handshake. Yet Biden had been shaking hands with other world leaders before this meeting. Seems like he just didn't want a photo existing of him shaking hands with the man he had once scorned. The meeting was most likely a necessary evil for Biden, as with most other leaders, since Mohammed bin Salman is not only Crown Prince and Defense Minister of Saudi Arabia, he also oversees the state oil company, Saudi Aramco. It is the most valuable company in the world and has a market value of between 2 and 10 trillion US dollars. With those kinds of figures, you can buy any political friend you want. In 2018, bin Salman's personal net worth was estimated at $3 billion. He is also known to have purchased the super yacht Serene from Russian vodka tycoon Yuri Shefler for $500,000. And on board you might find the Salvator Mundi painted by Leonardo da Vinci, which the prince supposedly bought for $450.3 million, setting a new record for a work of art. He also owns the Chateau Louis XIV in France, which he bought for over $300 million. Outside of work, the prince married his first cousin, Sarah bint Mashour, back in 2008, and the couple have 5 children. The prince has been snapped regularly, rubbing shoulders with high flyers and celebrities like Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, Morgan Freeman, and Dwayne Johnson. On Christmas Day in 2020, he was videoed receiving a vaccine as part of Saudi Arabian Ministry of Health's national COVID-19 vaccination plan. Within his home country, bin Salman is known for his charm and charity. He was even voted Personality of the Year by Forbes Middle East in 2013 and was among the top 10 most influential people in 2018, according to Time magazine. He is a bit of a history buff too. As part of his philanthropy, he was committed to preserving the historical treasures across the Middle East and set about restoring over 100 historical mosques. With his nation set to become a hub of creativity and entertainment under his 2030 vision, the prince is trying hard to clean up his tarnished image. Whether or not his reformed persona is genuine is certainly up for debate though. Only time will tell. If you enjoyed this video, let us know by leaving a like. Tell us in the comments if there's anything you think we missed or who you'd like to see us cover in the future. For more fascinating insights into historical figures like this one, check out the other episodes on our channel. Until next time, this has been Neapolitan, and we'll see you around.